Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of In Lieu of Murder. For starters, I asked Inoa to sit this one out because this is a different kind of true crime. This is a true crime plea, and it's going to get interesting. But this is the route that we're going because In Lieu of Murder isn't just crime stories. It's the things that we talk about so that we don't become part of crime stories. In lieu of murder is our way to vent. It's our way to talk. It's our way to get things out there. It's our way to be ourselves. And starting in this new year, that's what we're going to do. And with Inoa's permission, I have asked to, kind of come out and do this one on my own because this is my true crime plea. I'm just going to get personal. Welcome back. All right, y'all. So I'm going to start from the beginning. And I have literal receipts for every single thing that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to give you both sides of the story because I'm intelligent enough to not be a conspiracy theorist, but also intelligent enough to know that a lot of the things that are fed to us aren't true. Um, for starters, I'm 39 years old. I can't say I was like the healthiest person growing up because I was uber overweight. Um, in fact, I weigh less now than I did as a high schooler, um, which is sometimes sad to hear, but it's the reality. Um, so, with that being said, you know, I did spend the majority of my life overweight. So, I'm prefacing all of my story for a reason. At my heaviest, which was a little over 400 pounds, I decided I needed to change. I was having some problems with sugars. I wasn't walking enough. I wasn't doing anything. I mean, come on, I was pretty large. So I got healthier. I lost more than half the weight. And I thought I was doing everything right. By the end of my marriage, I had made it under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. And it was a lot of work. It was hard. And I was super proud of myself. My marriage ended in August of 2020. And I was kind of at a really not so good place in my life. My father was very, very ill. So, um, at the point that my father passed away, I left the state that I spent the majority of my life, which was South Carolina, and then moved out to Georgia, where my mom was. I needed that fresh start. My mom needed that. We needed each other at that moment. Um, I grew up considering myself like a daddy's girl. Um, I tried to manipulate everything I could out of him, and he usually let us get away with it because we were little girls. So, anyways, I moved out to Georgia, and you know, me and my mom had just lost my dad, and my sisters were in mourning, and everyone was grieving, and you know, COVID was happening, and my mom needed someone to help run her store. And I just watched my dad pass, and I just watched my mom live through trying to help him through so many medical things from his cancer. So when all that was kind of going on, I took into consideration that I was going to be around my mom, and at the suggestion, the very strongly suggestion multiple times from my doctor, I went and got the COVID vaccine. Um, it was the Pfizer, and I got it in May of 2021. Um, Approximately 4 days after, I started to develop a lot of pain in my arm on the underneath side. Um, and for some reason, I had reacted to the COVID vaccine with a very, very large abscess under my arm. Reactions happen, and I know that. I knew that there was risks. Um, but it was a really scary event for me. But, the doctors insisted that it was a one-time thing, and it's because it was just the first time my body had been exposed to any kind of, like, COVID virus, and my body was gonna fight it off, and it wasn't a big deal, and I believed them. And so when it came time to get the second part of the Pfizer shot, I went and got it, and it happened again, but worse. And during that time, I as I was fighting off the vaccine in my body, I, um I had a lot of up and down fevers. I wasn't feeling good a lot, and it was just really strange to me. But if you know me, you know I hate doctors. I hate hospitals. I always have. Every time I went, it would be like somebody would pass away, and so I hated going to hospitals. I hated doctors, and for most of my 20s and 30s, I didn't even carry health insurance because until I had my, slight bout with, I did have a bout with melanoma. Um, but besides that, I was pretty healthy. So doctors, I didn't want to go to doctors. And then, I was like, okay, I'm in my late 30s. Clearly I've had these fevers since I got this vaccine. Maybe it's something kind of dormant in my body. Let me go to the doctor. I went to the doctor, and they told me it was all in my head and that I was diabetic and my sugar was high. And I was like, oh my gosh, let's fix it. So I got on the medicine, I got on the pills that they put me on and the insulin, and I thought I was doing what was needed to be done. And then I started to have like some pains in my um, ovarian area, and my cycle was not being stable. In fact, at this point, I hadn't had a cycle in like 4 months. And so I was like super concerned. And I went to the doctor, and I found out that at 36 years old, my body stopped ovulating. It just stopped. And it's not PCOS. And there are no cysts. And they have no idea why it stopped. Now, they did say, hey, you could go to a fertility specialist, but with lack of ovulation, all they would be able to do is da da da. But I am beyond the point of having children in my life. Um, so I was like, my sister's kids are enough for me. So, but not to say it wasn't heartbreaking. At the moment, it was heartbreaking because it was like, dang, man, what if I wanted to try to be a mom? I'm only 36, and so it was rough. But we're gonna skip forward a little bit more because then I started to get this really strange rash on my leg. And they had cut a spot off of me that they were, had some cancerous concerns about. And it was like right after that I had cut that spot that all of a sudden this rash broke out on my leg. Y'all, that was like 27 months ago. I still have the rash on my leg. In fact, it's now on 2 different legs in 2 different spots. Um, at first the doctor was like, "It's shingles." And, it's supposed to be it didn't feel like shingles to me. I kept telling them it didn't feel like shingles. Now, mind you, I also wanna inform y'all, I do have something called neuropathies. So, I take medicine to not be able to feel my legs so that the pain and the burning sensation doesn't hurt to walk. Um, but even through that medicine, I could feel the pain of this rash all the time. So, um, anyways, moving forward from there, they told me it was shingles. When the shingles didn't go away 6 weeks later, they put me on a second bout of medicine, and then the shingles didn't go away, and the doctor said, "Oh, it's long-term shingles," which isn't really a thing, guys, just so you're aware. Anyways, so they put me on some more medicine and kept feeding me medicine and steroids to try to combat the shingles. During this time, I went to a dermatologist. Um, and the dermatologist told me it was not shingles and it was not cancer and it was not a fungus and that on when it wasn't like flared up, it was coming back as nothing, and when it was flared up, it was coming back as autoimmune. So I went to my doctor and I said, "Hey, I want an ANA test, which is an autoimmune test for those of you that don't know," and it came back positive. So they sent me to a rheumatologist. They were convinced that I had lupus. They told me that I had lupus. I didn't. Um, that rheumatologist ran some tests and said that I didn't have an autoimmune disease. But they were like, "Listen, there is a concern with, some things in your blood, more specifically your plasma. So we're going to send you to infectious disease." And y'all, I don't know about anybody else, but not dealing with doctors and oh, I just hit my mic. But not dealing with doctors and things like that most of my life, I was like, why are there so many different doctors? Like, why can't I just go to one doctor for everything and they just have all the equipment? Like, oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. Because, mind you, I'm waiting like 30, 45 days in between all these appointments, still running fevers, still sick all the time, getting sicker and sicker no matter what I was doing that the doctors wanted me to do. They told me to lose more weight. I lost more weight. They told me to eat this. I ate that. I did everything that they asked me to do for so long and I could not get better. My fevers would jump, between, and for me, a fever is usually about 99 because I run really low, but it would be between 99 and 103 on a daily basis. I never didn't have a fever. So I was constantly fighting something, but it made no sense. So then I was like, well, maybe it's a change of environment. But the only thing difference out here is the altitude and the humidity. And both of those things have proven to be very well for me right now because when I go to any place with humidity, I can't breathe. And when I go to lower altitudes, there's like a pressure in my chest. So out here was the best place for me. So we're looking at all of that, right? So they're like, we're going to send you to an infectious disease. Scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh my gosh, I've done contracted something. I done did something wrong in life. And I ended up, no, y'all. It wasn't nothing like that. So I find out that I have something called hypogammaglobulinemia. And I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's how I say it. And that's just how it's going to come out. But for the sake of this, we're just going to call it hypogamma. Okay. So that is a primary immune deficiency. And what it means is my body does not make enough globulins. I call them goblins. So if you hear me slip up and call them goblins, that's why. But globulins to fight off sickness and to heal parts of my body. Like, they just weren't working. And so I was like, all right, well, what do we do from there? And we talked a little bit, and he was like, there are some options. The first option would be, to find out, we could either find out first what's causing it, or we can go ahead and start treating you for that so that you'll at least be able to fight off some of these sicknesses and these fevers and feel a little bit better. And I was like, okay. And then he did tell me during that conversation that, my white blood cell count was kind of high and my eosinophils were high. More or less like my body was acting like it was allergic to something. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. And so my brain was like, I should go to an allergy doctor, but no doctor recommended that still to this day, actually. Yeah. So anyways, and I don't know about the medical field. I've done so much research in the last 2 years that my brain hurts because I know words that I shouldn't know. And there's so much information out there and so many medical journals you can read and so many other people that are going through and have gone through exactly what I'm going through. And I feel like nobody will listen. So anyways, um, with that being said, we kind of move forward a little bit, and I'm starting to realize that my primary care doctor I don't trust, because anytime I bring something to her, she's kind of rolling her eyes. Now, the proof is in my numbers. You can say anything you want, but blood tests don't lie. And it was showing some really strange things. Um, Sorry, y'all, I'm thirsty. I went to Bojangles tonight. But and so I'm really thrown off by how she's acting and why she's getting so frustrated with me when she can clearly see that my numbers are not improving, they're getting worse. So I decided to find an internalist. An internal medicine doctor handles, a lot more than just your simple primary care, everyday things. I personally handpicked mine. I reached out to him. I I wanted him as my doctor. Same with my infectious disease doctor. My infectious disease doctor is actually like 2.5 hours away from me, because he's one of the top in North Georgia, and I need to understand what's going on. Um, but I'm going to see my internalist. The very first thing he says to me is, "Hey, I think you're allergic to the insulin you've been on for the last 2 years." Okay, so we take me off the insulin, and guess what, y'all? All of because I was starting to have problems, like, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I'm just gonna put everything out there. So I was starting to have problems, like I couldn't hold my bladder, and it would become very embarrassing moments for me at work, at home, in my household. Because the entire time I was pumping the stuff into my body that I was allergic to. So my body was reacting crazily. So they take me off the insulin. That was 6 months ago. Okay. As far as that goes, I'm doing great. My A1C is actually down below diabetic numbers. It's completely controlled. I don't have to, take any insulin for that anymore. It's great. So I'm doing really well there. Right. Right. So, during that time with the whole insulin thing is the same time my infectious disease doctor was like, hey, we're going to start these infusions every 28 days where we're going to pump a medicine called Panziga into your body every 28 days, 20 milligrams, which is 200 milliliters. And it's going to put plasma into your body with active globulins in it to help you fight off infection and heal. And I was like, game on, let's do it. I was scared out of my mind because you're going to put something in me, something that was in another human. Like, it's scary. And like when the medicine came the first time, like even the box said like human on it. And so it was kind of creepy. It was interesting, different. So anyways, I started having these infusions. Um, so the first couple of infusions go okay, and I can kind of feel a difference. I would always have a fever on day 4 after the infusion. I don't know why, but always on day 4, my fever would come. And it'd be kind of high, but I'd get through the day. And then I'd start to feel better for about 14 days. And then it would kind of wear off. And by the time I'd have my next infusion, I'd almost feel like if I didn't have it, that I'd be too weak to do anything else. Now, also during this time, I need you to understand that my bedtime was like 9 o'clock at night. And I got up every morning at 7. I slept a lot. But I kept telling myself it's because my body's healing, and it's fighting and it's trying to get better. Also because in the midst of right after I started infusions, sorry, right before I started infusions, they removed my gallbladder, um, because it was fine. And then we went back in 60 days later and there were hundreds of gallstones. And my liver enzymes were really high and my liver was enlarged. And it was just a really scary situation. But they ended up removing my gallbladder within, like a week of the initial find out of the gallstones. So I was healing from that. So the infusion was helping me heal. Um, and so I loved it. And then I started to realize that I was going to be one of those people that had to wear a mask for the rest of my life everywhere I went. Because anytime I come in contact with somebody that's sick, I get really, really sick. Um, if you come to work with a cold, then I'm going to end up with pneumonia or bronchitis. If you were in the office 48 hours before me and you had COVID, I was going to get COVID. And this entire time, I'm working in property management. I'm doing inspections on apartments. I'm running multiple properties at one time. I see more people on a daily basis than my body should have ever allowed. And I wore my mask and I washed my hands and I still got sick all the time. And it wouldn't be normal sick, y'all. When you get strep for what, 10 days? Yeah, I had strep for 9.5 weeks, guys. 9.5 weeks. And that was recently. I don't get better. I get sick or I get sicker. Um, about 4 months ago, I noticed that by day 10, after an infusion, my chest would feel like an elephant was sitting on it. And I kept complaining to my doctor saying that, like, hey, I think that the infusion is giving me lung infections or something. I have never had breathing problems until the last, I'd say, year. And now I have a nebulizer machine. I get monthly inhalers. It comes out of nowhere and it literally takes my breath away. And it's not asthma. And honestly, they don't know what it is. It's not COPD. It's not. So, um, I tell the doctor that by day 10, my chest is always hurt and I think there's infections. And he takes a look and he's like, listen, I don't think they're infections. I think that your ribs and your lungs are inflamed after the infusions. And I was like, oh, okay. So what do we do to counteract that? Like, how do we help? Because I feel like the infusions do help me at least feel, not as bad for at least half of the month. And that's a big deal for someone like me, because those of you that don't know, hypogamma, because of how rare it is and how hard it is to treat, can shorten your lifespan drastically. So anything to make me feel better was imperative to me, because there's a lot of things I'm trying to accomplish. So um Who that got personal, right? Anyways, so they give me ibuprofen 600 and tell me that from the day that my chest starts hurting for 3 days after, take it every 12 hours, just to help with the inflammation, and I should be all right. And I was for a couple of months. And then the scariest thing in the world that's ever happened to me happened to me on my last infusion, which was January 3rd, last Friday. And I reacted. In the middle of my infusion, my blood pressure started jumping up, then jumping down. And my chest was in pain. A fever would come. And when I say my blood pressure would spike, y'all, it was going to like 181 over 104. The lowest that it got was, I think it was like 121 over 92 or something. But it was all over the place. Like 1 second it would be that, and then they'd check it again and it'd be super high. And they could kind of see, like, as it was happening. I thought I was dying. I was sent to the ER. Mind you, RER, where I'm at, is about 45 minutes away. The whole way there, I was sure that that was going to be the last time that I saw my significant other. Um, I'm okay, y'all. I'm good. But it was a really scary thing, and the tears are real, y'all. This is me being as vulnerable as you're probably ever going to see me be, because I'm got too much of a dark humor trauma bond to be a punk, right? So it was one of the scariest moments of my life, for real. And when I got there, the doctors were afraid of me, because people aren't used to dealing with someone with a rare disorder like hypogamma, and they sure as heck don't know what to do when I react to the only medicine that they know to give me. So they, gave me a bunch of allergy meds and a steroid, and I have completely ruined my makeup, y'all. Guess can't take no pictures after this one. um, but they gave me a bunch of allergy meds, some steroids. They gave me a couple breathing treatments. They gave me a steroid treatment on my lungs, and they just stabilized me the best they could. Um, and then they more or less came in and they're like, listen, we're going to be straightforward with you. We've never met someone with your condition. We were able to get a hold of your doctor. He's really concerned about your blood pressure. And I was too, because I could feel it. I could feel like something was wrong. Now, mind you, the blood pressure thing is really weird for me anyways. I've never had a blood pressure issue. And then the week before I got my infusion, so the last week of December, was the last week that I had strep. No, sorry, the week before that was last week. And while I was at the doctor, he was like, man, your blood pressure is high. It's like strep made my blood pressure high all of a sudden. And maybe it was just my body still fighting it off, but I was testing negative then. But either way, I was super sick. So he put me on some blood pressure meds, but they weren't helping at all. I honestly don't think they're still helping. My blood pressure was definitely high today. Not uber high, but it was high. But they can no longer blame my weight on the things that are wrong with me, because I'm barely overweight at this point. So what do they blame? Well, let's blame the hypogamma. Now, this entire time, I'm being told that hypogamma is a symptom of something else. Typically, a symptom of an autoimmune disease or multiple autoimmune diseases that they're saying I don't have. So I don't have an autoimmune, but I have a primary immune deficiency. And And y'all, when I say I take this stuff seriously, like I wear a Whoop watch. This is a medical bracelet that tracks everything. It tracks my heart rate, my temperatures. All of this data can go straight over to my doctor if he wants. I mean, he has the link for it. I don't know if he uses it. It tells him how often I sleep, how much sleep I need. It tells him how much I walk, how many calories I lose every day. It tells him everything about me medically that the Whoop can cover, because it was that important to me to get better. It's that important to me to find out what's wrong before it's too late, because I have way too many plans to not make it. Um, a lot of you probably know me, if you're watching this, because I have a slight following. Not like I'm not an influencer, guys. People like me because I'm honest and I'm funny. And so I have a lot of friends. And I'm very open. I'm the biggest hippie you're ever going to meet. I'm open as a book. And I just like to have fun and laugh and live life. But I'm a writer and I'm creative and I'm super intelligent. And I've always been this way. And people didn't really see it about me until my 30s, because I was behind books and behind the shadows and didn't want to be noticed and didn't want to be seen, because I thought that being smart and being different because of like my ADHD and things, I thought that those things made me wrong, until I realized like there's like a whole world of us and we're pretty cool people. But you know, going back to my medical stuff, um, they put me on Benadryl and a steroid and strangely like a heartburn medicine for 5 days every 8 hours. And sent me home with 2 EpiPens and said, "If your throat closes up, stab yourself, call 911, and go see your doctor within 5 days, because we don't know what else to do for you." So I can feel my body still pushing out what's going on. You can't tell as much in this video because you haven't seen me the last few days, but my swelling has gone down so much. If you go look at my Facebook page, you'll see. But my swelling has gone down so much. It's still there though, because I am so itchy and so swollen, and it hurts. But with the hypogamma, they kept telling me it was a symptom of something else. So I have a friend that spends a lot of time doing research on my medical problems, because it's easier for her to try to solve my problems than to think about her own. And I love her for that. But she found some medical journals, that are newer, that are saying things like, if, you know, you don't have an autoimmune and you have hypogamma, then it could be coming from this. Or you could have hypogamma and that be the primary, and it created the secondary such and such. Y'all, I have asked to be tested for multiple things, multiple times. I've asked to see an allergist or an immunist. I haven't gotten that referral yet. And I'm not saying that my doctor's bad, but I know that my internal net medicine doctor is doing what he's doing to protect me, because he tests me for anything I ask for. But there's certain things that he just doesn't agree with me on. But he's not living in my body. And that's what I keep trying to explain. If I have B cell malignancies in my body, like CLL, which is a like hidden leukemia, then hypogamma is going to happen. And if they treat the CLL, the hypogamma will die down. It won't keep making my immunoglobulins disappear or blow up or whatever it is they do to not go in my body correctly, or for me to not produce them. Y'all, I take 3 pills every morning, 4 pills every night to live. And not a single person can tell me what's wrong. We have to go back to the drawing boards because I can no longer get infusions I'm allergic to. So what if I get strep again? What if I get pneumonia again? What if I get a lung infection, COVID, RSV? Does that mean it's done for me? Because I can't get the infusions. Does that mean I have to stay indoors again? Not to say I'm a big outside person, but I do like to be out and about. But y'all, I can't go shopping. I can't get groceries. I can't go to a movie. I can't go to a concert. I can't go visit my friends. They don't want me traveling. My medicine makes it so sometimes I can't even drive. They have stripped me of every ounce of independence that I have created and busted my butt my entire life to get. And I know it sounds like it's poor me, but guys, I'm not asking for anything except the fact that I know that somebody out there knows the right person to help me. And so I'm not asking. This is my plea. My name is Amanda Marie Muzan. I am 39 years old. I have hypogammaglobulinemia, which is a primary immune deficiency. IVIG infusions make me sick, apparently. I am diabetic. I have neuropathies. And most recently, I have high blood pressure. There's a rash on each of my legs that, when flared up, comes back as autoimmune. And when is not, comes back as absolutely nothing. My left leg is swollen unless I wear a compression sleeve, which I do every single day. Nobody can tell me how to get better because nobody knows what's really wrong. Somebody out there knows a team of doctors. Somebody out there has had their family treated by a team of doctors. I know that figuring out certain diagnoses in very complicated situations can get you a lot of awards. I will help you write the medical journal on me. I'm a writer. I'm a published writer. Look me up. I will do whatever I can to help your career. I just want someone to help me figure out what's wrong with me. And so this is my true crime plea. I've been sick since I took the first Pfizer COVID vaccine in May of 2021, and it is now January of 2025. Somebody out there knows a Dr. House, and his team can help me, and I can live a long life. And listen, I'm not asking for any handout. I'm not. I work hard, y'all. Hard. I just secured a virtual position with a new company at a corporate level. However, prior to this, for the last couple of years, I am running multiple properties on my own, 80 hours a week, every week. And I did it because I had to do it, because I don't mind working. I got my own insurance. I'm not asking for all that. I'm asking for someone to figure out what's wrong. And like I said, I'll help you write the medical journal because I know my case is different. Y'all, I'm 39 years old and my skin, okay, has like thinned. So like, you know how people in like their 70s and 80s will have all those spots just from like a, just a random hit, and they look like they're always beat up. That's how my arms look now. That's how my legs look. I walked into a trash can 5.5 months ago, and I still have that same bruise on my leg. So as I was saying, this may not be a true crime to some people, but it's my true crime plea. And it's real. And there's so much more to this. Y'all, when I tell you, like, these are just medical bills. Well, that last page and then that last page. Oh no, it is relevant document. These are medical bills that I'm working on. And I mean, like, filing away. They've already been paid. I've been out of my out-of-pocket bag since like March of this year, or last year, so New Year. But I want to see my nephews go to college, and I don't want my mom to have to bury me. I don't want my sisters to lose me. I don't want my partner to spend his life with somebody else. I want to live, and I'm willing to fight, and I'm willing to try pretty much anything, except heroin or crack. Okay, I'm just kidding. I don't want any drugs. And that's the big thing is I don't. Besides my ADHD, I don't do anything. I don't party. I don't drink. I stay in my house. I work really, really hard. And when I'm not at work, I'm doing projects on houses with my friends because I can't go in public. And I just want to be a normal 39-year-old woman again. I don't have children. I should be traveling the world. I should be seeing cool things, and I'm not. I'm hiding in my living room, afraid. So this is my plea to every hospital, every student hospital, every renowned clinic. Somebody out there can figure out what's wrong with me. And I'm willing to do whatever test it takes. And I'm willing to provide all medical documents. I have, again, proof of every single thing that's come out of my mouth. I am willing to come to you, if need be, at my own expense. Because all I care about is getting better. Not a lot of people have what I have. So I know that my case can make medical history. I'm 39 years old and my body's reacting like I'm 70. I don't want a bunch of people to write in and say, hey, try this, hey, try that. Y'all, I've applied. I've applied for every student opportunity I could find. I've sent letters to hospitals. I've emailed talk show hosts. I've done it all. So this got personal because this is my true crime plea. If you know anybody out there at those hospitals, Duke, Emory, the Cancer Society, anybody, somebody help me figure this out. Because there's no reason that I should have this and not know why or how to fix it. I mean, we can fix anything else. And if we can't fix it, how do I live with it if I can't have the infusions? Like, so with that being said, guys, I mean, more or less, this is my true crime plea. Help me. Help me figure out what's wrong with me. Help me live. I love y'all.
In lieu of murder, it's love with a twist. Dating disasters you can't resist. From first dates to court dates, we've got it all. So grab a seat and join the fun. In lieu of murder, we're number one.